One of the main themes of the book of Hebrews is that Jesus is greater. That's why we called the series Greater, because chapter after chapter, the writer of Hebrews is writing to convince the readers, this group of Jews, that Jesus is greater than anything they could compare to him. Principally, the writer of Hebrews is trying to get the readers to understand that Jesus is greater than anything else that they would turn to for salvation. Salvation at its core is being made right with God. And the readers were thinking, maybe I should go back to the Old Testament law. Maybe I should go back to the sacrifices. But the writer is trying to convince this group that there's nothing you can turn to actually save you besides Jesus. And so chapter after chapter, we're seeing Jesus is greater, Jesus is greater, Jesus is greater. And we want our church family to be thinking, what in my life do I turn to be made right with God? Because we oftentimes say it's Jesus with our mouth, but we act and we live like it's something else, as if that's going to make us right with God. So we built this monument. It's beautiful, it's huge. Amazing team of volunteers here at church built it for our church families so that we could think about what are the things that we turn to for salvation, and we could just name them, and we could lay them down, and we could write them on a rock, because rocks have substance, right? But even a rock with substance is a lot less than this monument. So to write it on something that has substance is to say, yes, I do turn to this to be made right with God, but I'm going to lay it down underneath Jesus because he is greater. Somebody in our church family last week wrote down ambition. And I love that somebody had the courage to say that they might turn to ambition for salvation, because in a very real way in the West, we think our work ethic, being good enough, working hard enough is what God wants. And if we're just a little bit better than the next guy, if we're good enough, if we work hard enough, God will accept us. God grades on a curve, and so ambition can be what saves me. But if you hold this up to Jesus, is it enough? And it's not. The other thing the writer of Hebrews is wanting the readers to do is see that Jesus is elevated and worthy of worship. He is greater than anything else in your life, not just for salvation, but for worship. And there's so many things that we don't really turn to save us or make us right with God, but we definitely put as first place in our life, and we worship them as God. And so there's things up here like money and possession, or money and position. It's not that somebody's going to think you can buy your way into heaven, but absolutely we often put money and position as first place in our life, and we want to worship it. So this is what the monument is. This is how you interact with it. I would encourage you to find a rock without anything written on it. When people write things on it, we put them up here on the monument in different spots, but you can grab a rock that doesn't have anything written, grab a pen, and write down what challenges Jesus for first place in your life, or what you would turn to make you right with God.